Hello, everyone. My name is Deja Trammell, and today we're going to talk a little bit about college to career. We've done 4 years of work at the institution. We're doing the major work, extracurriculars, building our professional profile, and now we are preparing to step into our employment areas, our career, and really start the work that we need to be doing. So it's an exciting time if you're watching this and getting ready. We're going to discuss some things to consider, ways to think about, are we prepared to kind of ease some of those anxiety or maybe even nerves or excitement that we have to make sure we can do the best job that we can. And if you have any questions, you can always come into the office at any time or email the staff. So let's get into it. We are located in Mary Martin Hall, 303 Mary Martin Hall on the 3rd floor, and we have drop-ins available. So Monday through Friday from 10 to 3 p.m., you are able to come in without an appointment and get your resume reviewed, some interviews, look at some work, things that needs to be done, maybe some final touches as you prepare for employment. If you haven't already, secured a position or you're thinking about some other things, we're still here to assist you. Even after you graduate, you still have access to services for 5 years after graduation. So always good to know that these are available when you need them. And we do Zoom as well as in-person appointments. So you have a lot of ways to connect with us. So think fair for fair wage. When we're thinking about career, you want to, one, find out what your skills and level of experience are worth in the current job market. You want to assess your realistic personal requirements. How much do you need to earn to maintain a living or the type of living that you want? You want to investigate the cost of living adjustments to your salary based on employment location. You can use cost of living calculators available. There's salary.com, money.cnn, and Bankrate. We have some of those resources available on the website if you would like to look in depth. And then we're going to research average salaries for the career field you plan to enter using the NACE salary calculator available on the website as well. And I'll make sure you have access to that. So acceptance letters. If you choose to accept the offer, let's say you've interviewed and you now have an acceptance letter, they want you for the position and there is an offer. Make sure if you're going to choose the offer letter, you do so verbally and in writing. Give yourself some time to look over the benefits, make sure you understand the terms and conditions of the contract, what they are offering you, if it meets your needs and requirements. And then once you get to acceptance, you can sign the offer letter that contains the final terms of employment. This will be after the negotiations are done and you are in full agreement that when you start this position, these are the benefits and salary you will receive. So then take the time to thank those who played a part in the hiring process. So that includes the contacts at the company that you may have reached out to, any of the interview panels or interviewers or hiring committee members that you interact with, your professional references who play a major part in you getting that position, and other professionals who assisted, because this is a very team oriented, or there's teamwork to how you get the position. Even though you interviewed, there's just a lot of moving pieces, and we want to be mindful of their time and investment in you to get you to this point. So thank you letters can go a long way. So let's say you're declining a letter, right? You have some offers on the table, you're making the best decision for you, which is totally valid and makes a lot of sense, and you have to decline a letter. Should you decide to decline, you want to do so as soon as you have accepted an offer and made the final decision not to accept. So after careful deliberation, it's a difficult conversation to have, but you do want to put yourself in a space to show as much respect and consideration for those who gave you the time to interview, who created a space for you to seek this position. You want to contact your main point of contact, whoever you have been communicating with, or whoever the interviewers tell you is the person that you follow up with from the hiring committee, and inform them of your decision. And you still want to thank them for the job offer and give them a reason for declining. You want to always maintain a positive professional relationship, because you never know what may be presented and what networks and circles kind of coexist in this space, especially in certain industries and disciplines. So in the first few weeks, you want to be mindful of the presentation you have or your professionalism and what kind of work ethic or integrity or space you're trying to create for yourself in the employment space, right? So you want to arrive early and stay late. on some occasions, get a feel for the workplace culture. What does it feel like? What kind of work ethic do you want to build? What type of employee do you want to be? You want to be prepared. Slowly bring personal items in. Give yourself time to kind of acclimate to the space. Of course, in your interview, you will have asked about workplace culture and what are the anticipated needs of the employer. Now it's time to actually put some of those skills into action and see what is around you. Be nice and friendly to everyone because you are building a workplace culture where your coworkers and colleagues are going to learn how to interact with you, as well as your supervisor and your boss, and as well as the office dynamics. So you want to sit back and observe them. Hot button issues, how things really get done outside of the presentation from the interview, any alliances formations, or what the office, how it's moving. So you want to be the participant observer in a sense. You're participating in the job and getting some work done and learning and training, but you're also observing to see what this space actually looks like in the first few weeks. So you want to start establishing some relationships and maybe become the go-to person. Now, this is not saying that, no boundaries, you can do it all within the limitations of that position and your job, but you do want to be someone in the team that they can go to ask to get things done, that has energy, that's very personable, that adds value to that workplace culture and environment and makes you feel included in the office. So volunteer. You want to avoid gossip and other things that influence your productivity or starts to put you in positions where you're not seen in the best light by your supervisor, or it limits the type of projects and responsibilities you get. You want to think about how you're cultivating this professional demeanor as you start, as you're building this career profile. You want to make friends, but keep some distant work friends, work relationships. There has to be boundaries in how you approach these situations, but you do want to be personable and show yourself friendly to maybe build that work family relationship so that you have a very nice space to work in. Resist the urge to offer too many ideas unless asked. Remember, as you are just getting there, give yourself time to get situated. See how the office moves. See what ideas are accepted and rejected. Make sure you know office protocols and what kind of ideas are expected, what you can learn, research. You're really doing that background work to get established. And so ideas are great, but offering too many upfront does not give you the opportunity to learn the environment. So ask questions, but not too many. I'm a firm believer in asking questions. And so maybe have a list if you have a list. If you have a lot of questions that need answers for you to really understand your job and responsibility, I'd maybe ask a few at a time. Give yourself space and time to see who answers you. Do you like their answers and their position? And maybe an opportunity to get to know your office members. And so you can ask different people, different questions, depending on their position, their title. You really want to learn who to go to, who can best answer the question for you, and how do you interact with your direct supervisor and what that looks like, those boundaries, and then begin forming ideas and setting goals for what you would like this next year, this next 2 or 3 years to look like in this space with this employer. So 10 tips for a first year of success. You choose your attitude. Every day that you walk into work, you choose the attitude and how you want the workday to go, because it starts with self, and then you choose your atmosphere. It affects your productivity. It affects how you're able to handle office dynamics, and it just affects how you feel about your job and longevity and any career aspirations you have. You want to adjust your expectations. Coming in, you may have some expectations that are either higher or lower, and you want to be able to be flexible and allow your opinion of your employer to be formed as you work in that space, as you ask questions for clarity, and as you continue to grow as a professional. Remember, your needs will change and adapt as you grow, just like with everything else. So you get to kind of adjust what your expectations look like and notate what skills you need, what growth you need, what workplace culture, do you need to continue to grow. You want to understand company culture. We spoke a little bit about what is going on with the company, the mission and values. How do we execute strategic plans? You want to start to get ingrained and then think about how you envision yourself in your role being a fit in this company and long term. Manage your first impressions. Remember, it takes about 12 different encounters for us to erase the first impression if it's not as the best one. And so you want to think about first impressions are everything, not to make you nervous, but who are you wanting to bring to this employer, to this workplace culture? What are you wanting out of this experience? And so managing first impressions from employees, from supervisors, from the workplace culture can be everything you need to kind of figure out what's going on. And then you want to develop organizational savvy. So what does organizational savvy really mean? You want to understand what is the hierarchy of structure. If you have an issue with conflict resolution, who do you contact? Your direct supervisor, then who's next? You want to see how things move in the office. If you need to get a job done, who do you go to? Like we're talking about, who do you ask questions to in the office? Who is the best fit to answer the type of question that you have? You start to develop your understanding of organizational structures and how they move, and then you will know how you move in return as you build this professional portfolio. You want to become a good follower. To be a leader is to follow, and to follow is to lead. And so be able to take suggestions, constructive feedback, and you want to be adaptable. You want to be able to adapt to the environment because there's going to be a lot of in-person learning that comes with a first year position. So be open to those changes. Build effective relationships. This is very important because outside of the workplace, these relationships could last and provide networking opportunities, longevity. They could be the reason you get a promotion. If there's any advances with the company that happens, you may be considered at the forefront because of the relationships you build. And even if you're in a client-facing type of job where you work directly with consumers or clients or students, you're building relationships that speaks to your work ethic and your performance. So you really want to be intentional about how you build relationships and if they're effective for you in the workspace. And then understand your new hire status. Now that we are in this space of we've translated from college, we're learning the skills, we have the knowledge, and we're practicing, we're putting all of these skills, knowledge, and abilities into practice. So now there's a higher responsibility for you to produce tangible items in the workplace based on all of your training. And so it's not to, again, present anxiety, but to be realistic about the expectations your employer has for you in this space. And so there is going to be some adjustment, but you have to understand the level of autonomy and responsibility that comes with this first year position, but being in a new space where you're required to produce tangible products or projects from your understanding from college. And then 10, master the task of your job. When you become a master of your task and build your skills, maybe takes about 2 years to really understand your role and see if you enjoy it and you're fit, then you will be able to see where you're going in your career, what other skills you need and want to develop, and what this might mean for you long-term. So what do you think, what do you want to be known for? I want you to think about on your own time some strengths, your personality, your work style, and your values. What do you want to be known for in the workspace? And this may be an activity you write down in your journal, your career journal, or just thinking about when you bring to interviews or who you're privileging in the spaces you occupy with your employer. What do you want to be known for? Some common mistakes that we do see in first year experiences because we're learning a balancing act of work-life balance and being a young professional. Too friendly, too fast. Sometimes there are opportunities where, we want to be sociable, we want to be experience. And so we feel it's necessary to be friendly and open and inviting because that encourages them to be warm and receptive to us. But we have to build that relationship. We have to learn who is similar to us, who is dissimilar. How do we handle different conflict resolutions? What are the perspectives of the office? How do people operate? Are we slow to warm? Meaning that it takes us a minute to speak to people and get ingrained with the workplace culture? Or are some people, not a fan of mornings? You want to really see what that looks like so you can make the will have the first impression that you want, but also build effective relationships. Social media connections, you want to be mindful of who you allow to be friends with you in social media spaces. We all know that our social media should reflect who we are, and the employer is already checking to see if it's a good representation of the organization. But even then, allowing people access to your personal life by way of social media connections with colleagues could be different than your expectations of how you work in the office, and could leave you in a more vulnerable position about your business, about what you're doing and how you move if there isn't a relationship built. Trusting the wrong people. While it's not the best topic, it is a reality. There have been times where individuals have put their trust in their supervisors, in their bosses, and their colleagues, and it may not have led to the best or most favorable outcome for them. So you want to take some time to assess the workplace culture, get a feel for who you are, who you want to be, and who others are around you. See if that is authentically them, and then you build or you create your own decisions and your own perceptions about what is going on, who you privilege with your ideas and your trust, and how you choose to work in that environment. Coming off as a know-it-all, sometimes our engagement or our excitement and enthusiasm being in a new space, I have so many ideas that I want to contribute, this will work and this will be so exciting, may not always be received by individuals with more experience or who want you to take some time to learn the space. And so it may just be excitement. It may be you wanting to contribute, be a contributing member, and prove to them that you're supposed to be in this space. But remember, you have nothing to prove. You went through the interview, they saw something in you and have hired you for this position. Now it's your time to take it in, be a part of the team. Now you do have to produce. There is a performance measure there, but not to prove and be confident that you deserve to be in the space, because they're giving you that chance. You have shown that there's something in you to take a risk on their investment. Now is your time to take it in, take a step back, not allow our excitement to play setting, and take the task as they come to you and show that you can do the job that they hired you for. And being seen as a threat, confrontation, any kind of confrontation or any kind of threat that can be seen against the mission of the organization. If you're not easy to work with, if you're combative, you want to be mindful of conflicts that you either create or you're a part of, or the kind of work relationship dynamic you create being in the office, if it's going to be conducive long-term to you being an employee and how others perceive your actions. So your email, one thing to think about, always include a signature with your name, title, email, and phone number. Avoid pictures or quotes. You really want to, and it depends on you, these are suggestions, but you really want a way to be identified, what you do, your email and phone number are the 2 points of contacts. Typical policy is to respond to all emails within 24 to 48 hours. Of course, depending on your job and the projects, this will fluctuate. You get to create again, what kind of a work ethic are you establishing? What will you be known for? They can say, I know when I email Deja, I normally get a response from her within 32 hours. And so we see typically a day, but she does not let 2 days pass without emailing me. So either something is wrong or something has changed. So you develop your work ethic and style. BCC and reply all. If sending to a large group, BCC instead of CC, what are we saying? Blind copying versus copying. You want to use this because that means that in your email thread, everybody doesn't see who all is listed on the email. So say you're sending to students or a large group of employees, and you don't want everyone to know that it is going out in this mass text. You want to personalize it a little bit or just go directly to that individual. You will blind copy, meaning they only see the address. They only see their address in the email chain and nobody else's. So there is some confidentiality depending on the type of email you send out. Reply all should be used very rarely. Sometimes it is more appropriate to respond to the person who directly emailed you, unless your supervisor or a boss is attached. But you want to be very mindful of the instances you use reply all. Always include a subject. You want it to be easily searchable and to the point. It gives the recipient a chance to know what this email is pertaining to, how should they go about answering it, and it helps you to get a faster response if they know what is coming in. You want to email in complete sentences and avoid text speak. Sometimes the I is not capitalized, or there's some abbreviations or apostrophes that we use in our text language. You want to make sure that you're looking at grammar, because it could very well be a first impression to the client or the employer. And you just want to make sure that we're putting our best foot forward. Tone and inflection are very difficult to infer. So others read, so have others read it if you're unsure about what are you conveying, what is your tone, what is your inflection, what is your meaning and intention behind the email. Want to be very careful in how you go about that. Emails using your school or business email account are property of the entity, so consider that. Depending on the type of emails you are sending with your business, if you work in a school setting, they are property of the entity, so they can be pulled, subpoenaed, or looked at any time because they're in a listserv. So be mindful of the type of emails or the type of information you want to privilege in the email. And do not open unknown attachments, especially in a company network. If you have questions, always clarify and ask your supervisor. With verbal communication, you really want to think about your conflict resolution tools and your tone. Addressing some disputes or perceived slights quickly and in private. This may be an opportunity to speak with your supervisor, or go to the colleague directly and ask questions. Remember your tone. Remember avoiding talking down to others, and be polite and don't raise your voice. But you want to attempt to understand maybe their perspective and motivation for the conflict, and find a way that works for you to address it in a manner that is still professional, still allows you to get work done, but also address and advocate for yourself so that you have the best workplace experience you can have in that moment. So here are some workplace characteristics by generations, of course, but just thinking about your work ethics and values and what work is, some leadership styles, feedback and rewards, and messages that motivate. This chart is very extensive, but now that we're getting into Generation Z, you have millennials, you have that tech generation, there's a lot more added to this workplace characteristic. And so I want you to, instead of looking at some of these, you can look for them at them as a foundation, but think about, what are your work ethic and values? What is work to you? Work is what? Leadership style. What kind of leader do you want to be? What does leadership mean to you? How do you choose to receive feedback? What feedback is most conducive to your work style? What kind of rewards do you like? Are you recognition based? Would you like employee of the month? Do you like to be recognized privately? Would you like a token of appreciation, or maybe paid time off? You like tangible rewards that show that they support you and acknowledge the work that you're doing. And then messages that motivate. What motivates you to go to work? What motivates you to be in this space? Or what motivated you to seek this career, be in this industry? Because we're just getting started. And so I want you to kind of think about these things, and this will help you develop or build this first year profile, career profile of where you can go as a young professional. You want to collect experiences. So always take advantage of new experiences and skills that you develop. You want to ask for responsibility as you see fit to handle and adjust, remembering those boundaries. You want to join networking groups. This can create those support systems. This can help aid if you feel maybe imposter syndrome, or you're a little nervous, or even excited and confident, and you just don't know how to explore these channels and opportunities to get your ideas out there. Networking groups can be a way of support with other professionals who are either doing the work or could lend a hand of how they navigated the space. You want to make yourself more marketable. You want to look at, what skills am I learning and creating, or maybe enhancing, and then what skills do I need to, how am I marketable in the space to get a promotion within the company, outside of the company. You want to always be aware of new positions that are available, how the organization is growing, what areas, what are some current trends for the profession, and where the employer is moving to. Is your position or title still relevant? Is there changes that are being adapted? What do you need to do to add value to this position in this space? And then you want to look for opportunities to grow, develop, learn new things, professional development, keeping it innovative and creative and adding value again. And then maybe create an online profile and an e-portfolio. This gives you the space to introduce some digital technology into your skill set, but also able to identify all the skills you've built, able to have a resource available to continue networking, able to show off your skill sets and what you've been doing and what you've accomplished in a way for people to connect with you. So start looking at online presence and how you want to create and develop that as you move forward. You want to commit and be accountable. People with written goals are 50% more likely to achieve than people without these goals written down. So the probability of completing a goal, here's some numbers. You have an idea, it's about 10%. You consciously decide you will do it, is about 25. You decide when you will do it, is 40%. You plan how you will do it, 50%. You commit to someone you will do it with, is 65%. And you have a specific accountability appointment with the person you've committed to, is 95%. And this is according to the American Society of Training and Development. So how you structure your goal planning and goal setting in this space will be how much ever time you invest in it. So if you think of the idea, that's a start, and then maybe plan for it. But once you start talking to people about your goals, who you trust and privilege, and you start working toward them, the probability of you completing it becomes more tangible. And so we're not going to do a goal setting exercise, but I did want to include it in this presentation. You can pause the recording now and see about a goal setting, how to structure your goals, what that might look like for you. And remember, if you have questions, you can always ask us in the office, and we can go over some exercises to really plan and map out short-term, long-term goals and ways to continue to advance professionally. So some office etiquette myths. It is okay to decorate my office space however I choose. This is not necessarily true. First, make sure that you are compliant with company policy and established norms. If you work for a religious institution, a state school, a faith-based institution, a private entity, you really want to know their norms and policies before you go about making the space authentically you, outside of what you do and who you are, but representative space and physical space. So you want to take your cue from the office mates. You want to follow their lead, and no trouble should be had. And if you have a question, always ask your supervisor or your colleagues to clarify, so you don't feel so left in the dark and you know how to navigate the space. Laura just spoke ill of my new friend Jeff. I should tell him. You don't want to begin your new space and tenure in the office and snare in the office drama. You want to kind of manage, do your best to minimize contact with such situations. If you know Laura is prone to gossip, politely remove yourself from interacting with her, or you figure out how you want to interact in that space. But then you ask, does this have anything to do with my work and my productivity? Does this impede the work that I need to get done in this space? How do I move and still be a professional and progress if I'm new to the space? Does this impede my learning? These are some questions you can think of and ask. Excuse me. I came into the office early so I can leave early. Now, this may not always be the case. There may be some leniency and some things that you can do in the office, granted from your supervisor or depending on the work that you do. But some days you will have to come in early and stay late, especially establishing yourself as a career professional in some industries and just being new to the field and the position. Do not think that because you are in early, you get to go home early. You want to put in your full time, what is listed on your contract, what is required of you, because even though no one may say anything to you, you are being watched, you are being assessed to see your performance, how you move as a professional autonomously or independently, and what you contribute to the office. And by building that work ethic, using integrity, and fulfilling your time obligations and requirements, this puts you in the best position to get promoted, to get salary increases, to be reliable and dependable and trustworthy. And it may lead to moments of leniency where I know you come into work 9 to 5 every day, you're on time, you do every task, you volunteer. If you need to leave early, you have that space. If you need to go handle some business, I don't mind, because your work ethic speaks for you. So give yourself some time to build up this competency and the skill, this dependability for the employer. And then don't abuse these privileges, but you get to make a decision of how you navigate the space. I'm fresh out of college with plenty of new ideas. I should share them immediately. Your colleagues have likely been at this far longer than you. Before you try to change the world, which is always a good thing to have that ambition, first observe and see what changes, if any, need to be made, and look for the appropriate time to present your ideas when you're asked specifically. And we touched on this a little earlier. Just think about, how can I present these ideas? When should I? And will they make a difference right now? Or is this something I can wait till I know more about? So we covered a lot in such a condensed time. Hopefully, I do speak fast, but hopefully you got the information that was needed. If you have any questions, you can always come and speak with us in the University Career Center, or speak to one of the campus career partners. If you're in the Office of Professional Career Development with the College of Business, if you're working with Career Development and Corporate Relations in the Engineering, the College of Liberal Arts Career Center, or even the College of Architecture and Design and Construction. And we even have some career liaisons in COSAM, the College of Science and Mathematics. So we're developing these networks. If you need something that is discipline related, or you need an all resource at the University Career Center, please be sure to come see us, email us, make an appointment, and we can have conversations on how to make sure you're in the best place possible to get to that career after college. Congratulations if you made it this far, and you will do well. And if you need anything, let us know.